Nia Long says there has never been a time in her life where she was willing to give up her life to be someone's wife or girlfriend. That is that is a hell of an opening line. She's talking about a lot of things in her interview with The Cut. We're gonna get on into it. It's the latest. So Nia Long, actress, just man, like Nia Long is literally when I think I just saying actress to me is a underscore, is an undersell. I think when you talk about Nia Long and what her career has been, Nia Long has been, I'll just speak for me personally, like she is an actress. And, I visually, when I say actress, see all of the roles that she has played on camera from Boys in the Hood to, I mean, even like recent things she's done, like, there's there's a movie, I forget what is it called. It's it's about I only remember her name in the movie, CC Bloom, because my best friend Sierra, that's what her family calls her. Hold on one second. What was that movie? Beaches. Yes. So from Boys in the Hood to, I mean, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air to I literally just watched Beaches again on Netflix. Nia Long remade I think it was an 80s film, Beaches, and she played CC Bloom in the film. But I mean, I just think of her as a 90s culture like architect. And I feel like with Nia Long, and she talks about it, we're going to get into a interview that she did for The Cut magazine. And the headline of the article says Nia Long isn't romanticizing the past. She'd rather live in the moment and lift up the next generation in Hollywood. And I just think about everything that Nia Long like stood for, right? As a Black woman in television, just a woman, a powerful, beautiful, but like sexy, not afraid to say how she feels and show a powerful woman in Hollywood. For me, just watching her. And I think about, down to they just announced that she is going to be Estee Lauder's first ever North American or ambassador for North America exclusively, which means she'll get to do like TV deals and or TV campaigns and digital campaigns and all the things for the brand. But I'm like, duh. Like Nia Long not only is a person that I watched on camera because she was great at playing these characters in these roles and storytelling and really just being the girl, the girl next door and the girl from around the way who was so smart. I remember Boys in the Hood, I always thought that it was so fire that like she was the girl that was like beautiful and she was like there and she's around, but she's headed to college and her head is on straight and she's fly and she's sexy. And, I think for a lot of us, for me as a Black woman looking at that on TV, it was like, okay, cool. Like I'm growing up as a girl around the way, but there's more to just my neighborhood. But it's also okay for me to still be very intertwined and indulged and engulfed in my neighborhood. But when it's time to step away, it's time to step away. And of course, Love Jones. I mean, it's Nia Long. Like, I mean, I don't know. Her beauty to me, I'm like, duh, Estee Lauder and whoever else, CoverGirl, all the brands, right? But that came out today as well. So she did this interview with The Cut, and they talk about, her and everything she's doing with Estee Lauder. But then they also get into just what being a woman in her role has meant for her. Nia Long then goes into so she's speaking with The Cut, and they just start really getting into her life. And one of the things that is starting to go super viral already is one of the quotes from a part of the interview. So this part of the interview, they're talking to Nia Long about balancing work and love. And she says, I don't think there's ever been a time in my life where I was willing to give up my life to be someone's wife or girlfriend. Ever. Period. And then she laughs. She says, I don't care how difficult the journey has been. I think you can have both. And she's talking about the love and the career, which has always been a conversation, especially, you know, I mean, Nia Long has been in this game for a long time. Nia Long has kids. Nia Long has been in a very public, situation with her partner. I'm probably saying his name wrong. Ime, who was coaching for the Celtics, at the time when all this stuff was going down and there was the cheating allegations and Nia Long, like publicly, that's like finding out you got cheated on when you at work. And it's like, it's nothing you could do because you got to finish a shift, but you're so pissed and your heart is broken. Nia Long would do some things publicly with her youngest son's father. She has 2 sons. Her youngest son's father, Ime, I believe it's Ime. Is it Ime? Ime? Ime. If I'm saying it wrong, I apologize. I say a lot of people's names wrong. My bad. So, okay, my bad. But yeah, so she's been through a lot publicly, but even before that, she had the career, she had the husband, she had the family, all of the things. And she says, I never wanted to wake up in my 30s and 40s and say, well, what is the value of my life? She says, now don't get me wrong. I admire women who are committed to being stay-at-home wives and running a house and raising the children. That's a job. But I also know that those children grow up, and when they grow up, whether you're a working mom, a single mom, or stay-at-home mom, there's a moment that every woman feels like, okay, now it's time to recreate who I am. Now it's time to tap into my passion because there's so much pouring out. It's like the give or take. It's basically like, okay, now your cup is empty and you got to refill it. So you got to give back somewhere. She says, I just have never been willing to give up my career and my dreams and my aspirations for a man. I think it's beautiful to have a partnership, but I don't need to be taken care of. It's nice to be treated. It's nice for a man to financially be giving. I love all of that. I'm here for all of that. And it's actually like a prerequisite, right? Yes, girl. That's one of the biggest things I'm learning. There's nothing wrong with that being a prerequisite. The 2025 and this whole list of where people won't eat and will eat on a date, I ain't going to a chain restaurant, all that will make you feel like having prerequisites or things that you want when it comes to finances is a bad thing as a woman, which is crazy to me. You don't got to be, I'm not the type that's like, if my man don't or can't, I won't. But you do want it. And I want to be honest about the fact that I want that. So I love that Nia Long said that here. She says, you got to come with all the presents. She laughs. The offerings, the surprises, the trips. That's the icing on the cake. That's where I get to be soft. That's where I get to be a girl's girl. I'm sorry. That's where I get to be a girly girl. Felt it. So when I think about Nia Long and I think about, since the 90s, how long Nia Long has been in this industry and been relevant in this industry. I mean, the minute I think about Nia Long, I think about the line short hair like Nia Long. Like, her beauty has been a focus. Short hair like Nia Long. People think of 90s, beautiful brown skin, brown lip, brown lip, brown gloss, soul food, Love Jones, the flipped up bob. Anytime I do short hair, brown lip, it's all neat. Even my shirt today. I don't know if you guys can see it well because I'm sitting down, but it's very much Nia Long soul food inspired. When I put this on today, I was like, oh, I just want to do brown lip, natural glow vibes, very much reminiscent of Nia Long, always an inspo. But it's not just about her look. I think it's always, for a lot of us, women that are trying to figure this out, we model and we look at women who seem like they have it all figured out. And I say seem like not as a knock to what Nia Long may have or may not have figured out. But, I just know people always say, I look like I have it figured out, but I don't. Not about me, but like she would I'm assuming she would probably say that because everybody, and she says in this article when she talks about co-parenting and having to figure out her situation after that very public separation that we talked about, nobody has it all figured out, but eventually you get to a place of peace and understanding. And for Nia Long, looking at her career and the way that people have regarded her as a 90s beauty and all the things, that's something to aspire to. I think the way that, the way that people talk about you, in my opinion, in this industry carries you in how you are or how you are perceived when you walk in before you're able to open your mouth and do so. And I think if you know nothing else about Nia Long, you know she is gorgeous. You know she has had some of the most iconic roles. She's been one of the most impactful and iconic Black faces, actress-wise, since the 90s. And you know that there are generations of women, especially us brown-skinned girls, that have looked at Nia Long for inspo. So we're not just doing it because of beauty. It's like, okay, she getting money, she looks good, the family unit is there, just all the things. And I think we saw a lot of how people regard Nia Long when the situation with her ex and her child's father, her youngest child's father, happened. Because when everything came out, about the allegations that were being thrown his way, And in real time, Nia Long was being put in conversations of what was done to her in her relationship as far as, his infidelity, his alleged infidelity. The world came out swinging, like, don't play with her like that. Don't play with our girl like that. And also, Nia Long has talked about, I remember she did a sit down with Jeezy and she talked about how she didn't feel protected in that situation. And not by us, because again, we, the people, came out swinging for Nia Long. Like, why is this even a public conversation? Why is this being leaked to press and to media at all? But she said she didn't feel protected or that the necessary steps were taken by the organization he was working with at the time and just people involved to protect her and their situation and the fact that a lot of this should have remained anonymous. But we move on. She also talks about co-parenting in this article. And to my surprise, because I'm gonna be honest with y'all, if I was Nia Long and I had to go through what she had to go through because she's a public figure and this was, you talking about, he's a coach for the Celtics at the time and it's a very high profile situation, it would be a bit hard for me to figure out co-parenting in the way she's describing in this article. I get it. They have kids and they got to figure it out. But I think I don't know. There would just be a level of hurt and distrust that I don't know I would be able to as easily get over. But maybe it's different when you got kids. I don't have kids yet. But she says, Nia Long says, this summer I traveled with my youngest son and my ex, Ime. We had a great time. And that's what I mean by I don't know if I could get to this point where y'all are seeing us out in public traveling together. We showing up at like basketball, basketball, soccer games together. That's one thing. That's easy to say, okay, they're both here because of like whatever. But traveling on trips together, her kid can easily go with his father and take that same trip. It's a very big step for you guys to be doing that together. She says, this summer I traveled with my youngest son and my ex. We had a great time. I've never walked that much in my life, but it was really beautiful because we've had a very public journey that has found its way to peace and understanding. And there's a lot of mutual respect that we have for each other. The most important gift you can give your kids is to heal your trauma. And that's what I mean by, look, I don't have kids. So me right now, I'm speaking from a place of that trauma will still be sitting very deep at the top of my stomach. And every single time I would have to engage, it would just come up like come up like the spirits in me, okay? It would hit me like the Holy Ghost every single time I had to just see the person in real life anyway. But listen, maybe kids give you a different sense of strength that I don't have yet, in a different sense of needing for peace. Because I'm all here for peace, but my peace is I never have to see you again or talk to you. They don't have a choice here. She says, I don't talk much about my personal life because it's no one's business. But every now and then, people speculate on social media. And it's like, me and coach are good. I hope he wins. He deserves to win. He's really great at what he does. We can have experiences with our son and make him the priority. There's still healing to be done and understanding to be had, but the past is the past. And that's what I think to me is what is so like, oh my God, Loren, you might need to grow up, like so remarkable and profound here, because I can understand peace is peace. There's no issue, but I think that's easier said than done when, again, I don't have to deal with anybody that I've dealt with in the past. I don't have to deal with them. We have no strings attached. Not a thing. Okay? Love that for me. Love it. Like, I really, at this point, I don't even have an ex. I've never dated anybody besides the person I'm dating right now. That is how I handle, life at this point. And that brings me peace. But it's a bit different here, especially too, I think even if they didn't have kids together, or even if they didn't share a son together, it's a bit different because again, it was so high profile. So you're always attached to that person once it's high profile and it hits the media and it becomes a storyline. She says there's still healing that needs to be done and understanding to be had, but the past is the past. I'm not going to carry burdensome energy with someone. I'm not going to carry burdensome energy with me because that just transfers to my children and it transfers to everything else in my life. I'm working on me, Nia. All right. I hear you speaking. I'm proud of myself. I think we're proud of each other as parents. And we're able to make this an annual thing and commit to these last sweet years of him being in grade school and high school before he goes off to college. We're both going to be standing there watching him graduate. And I mean, I think this is the place that you have to arrive to, especially with a kid grade school age that's a big kid. Your kid is on social, so your kid is hearing things, seeing things, and even if your kid is not directly on social, their friends are. We just talked today at the Breakfast Club about Blue Ivy, and when Blue Ivy was doing the Cowboy Carter tour, y'all remember in the beginning of the tour, people were, having some things to say about her dancing and her choreography, especially because, I mean, Beyonce is her mom. But Matthew Knowles told Carlos King on Reality with the King that social media was the reason that Blue Ivy went, basically got in the gym. Blue Ivy went, she practiced, and she got better. Take a listen.
Well, Beyonce, where's Blue Ivy? And she says, oh, she's in there practicing. And I was like, oh, okay, she's practicing. Yeah, she's practicing. And I was like, she's gonna dance again? Because it was never meant to be this ongoing that she was gonna perform. It was a one-off. And she had a young girl friend that traveled, and her parents traveled. And Beyonce said, yeah, her friend talked how bad she danced last night on social media.
So I think at this point, when you have a kid that is this old, and also too, Nia Long and her ex were together for some time, and they're just in different spaces, a lot more mature than I am. You don't have a choice but to get to this place, and I think that it's important because you have so much going on day to day. And don't get me wrong, I'm not harboring any bad feelings or ill will for anybody in my past. I think I've gotten to a point too where I'm like, I don't even know if these people deserve that energy, but I don't interact with anyone. I think if I were to have to interact with any ex that I had any bad breakup situation with, honestly, like my last situation, if I were to walk past him today or tomorrow, it would be nothing. Like literally. Even if he were to speak, it'd just be like, oh, hey, what's up? But it's taking time for me to get there. And I've had the luxury of not having to interact and just acting like he fell off the edge of the earth. Because it's what I needed, and I'm sure it's what he needed as well, too. But I had also gotten to a place by the end of that where like, it wasn't, like, abrupt. Like, it seems like Nia Long's situation with her ex and her youngest son's father was very, like, she didn't have a choice. Like, it was like everything hit the news, and it was just like, "Okay, is Nia Long gonna go back? Is she not gonna go back?" And I think she did have a choice. Let me not say that. She did have a choice, but I think there is pressure when, you got the whole world and all these girls who doing the short hair like Nia Long and a brown lip line and looking up to you about what are you going to do in this situation. And people forget that celebrities are only human. So it's like, you could take your baby father back like 10,011 times, right? He don't come pick up the kids. He got about 4 or 5 baby mamas. You arguing and fussing and fighting with all of them. You can take him back. Cool. The minute Nia Long decides to take anybody back, or we get a photo of them on this vacation and it's picked up the wrong way as if they might be trying to figure things out, baby, you the same person in the comments like, I cannot believe her. She is a role model for Black. People forget that celebrities are human. But, I mean, Nia Long stood in what she stood in. I think that's always been one of the things, again, that, you look at people and you admire about them. It's like, it seems Nia don't take no shit, is what it seems like. And be it as it may, she's grown up in an industry where she can't. So that goes into so many other parts of her life. She continues to say, I talk about my kids a lot because they take up so much space in my life and my heart. Everything I do is for them. I'm not a perfect mother. I've made many mistakes. My kids have seen me go through it, but that's the type of mother I am. If I'm pissed, everyone knows. See, that's so crazy that I said that. And I hadn't even read this paragraph in prep for today's episode. I've never met Nia Long, but just from watching her in interviews and how she's navigated her career and her characters too. And I like in her characters, but I think it gets to a certain point where, when you're in a certain part of your career, you get to pick and choose kind of what you're playing and why you're playing it. And, you're very mindful about what you're picking. And she's been able to craft almost like a brand or a conversation for herself through her characters. Now, this next part of the article, and we're going to end here because I want to open it up for conversation from you guys. This next part of the article hit me very close to home. So they talked to Nia Long about being in her 30s, and then they talked to Nia Long about being in her 50s. So she says, your 30s are a time to experience everything around you so that by the time you get to the age where you decide, I want to get married, or I want to have kids, or I don't want to get married, but I still want to have children, you've been open enough to have these experiences to narrow down your purpose. I think 30 is definitely the time where, like, you start thinking purpose. Like, you think you know purpose and you think you know, "Oh my god, this is why God put me here and the world deserves to get this version of me." No, I think 30 is where you at least I don't think you get it fully in your 30s, but I think you start thinking about it in a real way and things start hitting you differently. Especially if you coming into your 30s with kids or thinking about having them. She says, when I was 30, I was like, and I'm 33, that's why this hit me so close to home. She says, when I was 30, I was like, okay, I want to have my first child by 30. I thought I was going to have my first child at 25. Like, that was always my thing. Uh, Before I got to college. When I got to college, I was like, 25 is not happening. Okay. I need my years back that I just spent in college. We're going to look at 35. Now I'm 33 and I'm like, oh God. She says, when I was 30, I was like, okay, I want to have my first child by 30. And it was always weird because I never said I wanted to be married. Marriage was secondary because I felt if it was meant to be, that would happen. I had my first child at 30 and my second one at 40. I was so hyper focused on surviving that I probably should have had more fun. So I think there's a healthy balance between being intentional about your focus, your passion, and to just say, fuck it and have fun. You're going to have plenty of years to grind it out. That part hit me because one of my biggest things right now is, I'm open to the idea of beginning to plan having my children. I don't want to have children right now. This is not the time. I think I'm just beginning to build like foundation in a real way for myself, career wise. And that's very important for me to, I know it won't be all figured out, but I do want a certain foundation before I have my kids. But when she said she at one point was planning her children and she was just like, if marriage happens, it happens. I want to be married. I want the family dynamic. That is something I've always said. But I realized this year that even though I've always said that, and a big part of that is because I didn't grow up with my father in my house. I met my dad when I was like 13. I can pick up the phone and call him. He may or he may not answer. It depends on what he's going through that day. And if he answers, how well our conversation goes depends on him, his energy that day. And I mean, my dad watches and listens to everything. He gets upset when I say things like that, but it's the honest truth. And the reason why I bring that up, it's not a stab at him. It's just that I realized this year has created an idea in my mind of like, okay, I want to be married and I want the family dynamic because it's not what I had traditionally in my house. My brother's dad was around. I have a lot of uncles and like all of that. So I was straight. I never knew I needed for a man in the household until I met people who had their dads in their house. But it's created this idea that yes, I want all of this stuff because I didn't have it and I know it's needed, but I don't even really know why like what is the need? Like why am I saying that? Like I'm saying it because traditionally that's what's supposed to happen, but I think not this past summer, it was the summer prior to that. The summer when I came home from LA and I was in transition. So it was, I had done a little bit of the guest host in 2023, Breakfast Club. That was the first time that me and my dad spent like actual real time together because he was helping me renovate an event space that I had at the time. And I remember one day we were on the phone with contractors, or it was like a painting company. It was a painting company, like a paint store. And my dad has a interior decorating business, does painting and all the things. So that's why he was there helping me. And there were two conversations actually. So this is the first one. So I was on the phone with the paint store and I'm talking through things and he's telling me what to say. And I think I said something wrong or like they told me they didn't have something that like it didn't make sense for them not to have. And he took the phone and the way that they talked to him, it was a guy on the phone, the way that he talked to my dad and just, I don't know, the level of understanding that happened in the conversation instantly because a man got on the phone and kinda just, like, took over and I was able to sit back. I remember literally the feeling of like, "Oh, this is what having a dad around is like and for." Like, I literally remember that, and that's something as small as, like, ordering paint from a paint store, but I just remember the reassurance of, like, my dad got it. And, like, the reassurance of, "Oh, a man is here," so it feels like there's, like, a safer space or, like, like, I never felt that before, so I didn't really understand because it's different when it's your father versus, like, my brother's dad, and even that, him and my mom weren't together. Getting too personal. My whole point is that when I read this from Nia Long, I realized that when she says, and it was always weird because I never said I wanted to be married. That's different for me. I've always said I wanted to be married, but she says marriage was secondary because I felt if it was meant to be, that would happen. I think in my mind, I'm saying this is what I want, but my actions, I was moving like, I mean, I can deal with whoever, even if I don't see my forever or this being the father of my children, because that's just gonna find me. Like the great man who's the father of my children, but not just the father of my children, but my life partner and my husband. Oh, that'll just find me. I don't need to be intentional because it'll just snap into or it'll just happen. No, I got to a certain point being single and being in my 30s and really starting to like think through what I want my like this thing over here on the left of me that I'm saying I want like marriage and children and like I don't just want a man in my house and to be married because I didn't see that. I want a real life partner. I want my kids to see me happy. I want my kids to see me working through things and it actually working out when I'm not happy. I want my kids to see me being respected, valued, and I want my kids to see me doing that to someone as well. And oh my God, like this past like year has just been, oh, even the way I speak about kids, I say my kids. And I've had to learn how to be like our kids and cause in my mind, marriage and all that, it was just like, I'm gonna do that because it hasn't been done and I haven't seen it. Not because I truly felt like I was ever gonna find a person that like was my actual like, okay, this is my partner. We're equally yoked. This is what my children need, not just this is what I want for them. That whole little line right there, oh, it's just gonna happen. It'll just fall into place. I felt that. That's where I was up until this year, 33. And then she compares it to her 50s and she says, I'm turning 55 this year. My 60s are around the corner. It sounds crazy to me, but I still feel like I'm in my 30s. I feel smarter. I feel safe. I've practiced a lot of forgiveness over the past couple years. Most of my relationships are in a really good place, and I did it for myself. I didn't do it for anyone else. Don't get me wrong. There are days when I want to go in. We all have that. But when I feel that pressure or that angst or that anxiety or that need to have a deeper understanding of something or someone, I tend to get quiet and think about what I'm going through rather than whatever the outside circumstance is. And then you can approach things differently. I'm not in my 50s, but I feel like I've begun to do that a bit differently. And maybe it's too is because of like Nia Long has been famous and has been, had platform and success in a public eye for a really long time. Everything's just starting for me. Like, and I'm like, small fish, huge pond on this platform that is like, elevating things every single day for me. So I'm beginning to think about how I deal with things, how I respond to things so much more and so differently than how I've ever been because my only thought is you can't F this up. This is your shot. You cannot mess this up. And anything you do has a chance to hit the public. You cannot mess this up. So, I mean, this article, and I didn't even fully go through everything, but this article and reading about Nia Long and just, where her thinking is today from where she's come from and where she's been and where she's going. She talks about, she's dropping a memoir soon. She has a project coming up with Loren's Tate. It was a great read. It was a great read. And I think, here on the latest with Loren LoRosa, I think one of the things that is beautiful is that we get to talk about things in pop culture and in conversations in conversation, but we get to really have a conversation. This was something that made me reflect. Would love for you guys to go read the article on The Cut, the feature on Nia Long. Let me know what you guys think. Get in the comments, get in, the tweets, take it to the streets and the tweets. I want to hear from you guys. Ladies, especially like the ladies, I would love to hear from you guys because I think that conversation of like have it all, we're having it a lot more now, and we see people who do it. Like I commend Cardi B, I commend all of the women, Beyonce, all of the women that are able to, because it's not easy whatsoever, but it's scary. That is one of the things that I am most scared of doing. Someone asked me a question, what is the dream that you are scared of most? And I said becoming a mom. And I'm not scared because I don't think I'll be a great mom. I'll adjust. I move and shake. I look. You can take care of your mother and your grandmother because the older people get, the more you can't tell them nothing. If I can figure that out, I can figure out a child, especially with a great partner, which I have. But the biggest thing for me is how will it impact my career? You know, you gotta be fit, you gotta show up physically, mentally, in ways like never before when you're a woman on a platform. And I'm new here. So my girl, you only got one shot comes in to thought so much when I think about when am I gonna have kids? I want kids. Twins to start, twin girls, and they're gonna be all over YouTube. But that's a whole nother story. But yes, like that's one of my biggest like I'm scared. It's like I'm playing double dutch. Like, all right, when? All right, when? Because I do want to plan it. I think my career deserves a plan a bit. But I'm down, if not playing, but I'm scared. So hearing her talk about, just the way she used to think about marriage and, she's okay with having a career while having a family. She's always been that way and she's always set out to be that way. It's encouraging to hear because it's tough. So ladies, in the streets, in the tweets, let me know what y'all think. Is anybody else out there scared like me? Is this thing on? I'm the only one? Let's talk.